Okay, so it is 5:13 on Thursday, 13th of November 2025. My name is Sadia Ahmed. I'm here for the Everyday Muslim Heritage Archive Project. Forgotten the name of my own initiative now. And we're here to interview the CEO. So can I ask you to give me your full name and where you were born and raised?
Assalamu alaikum, Sadia. My name is Khalid Javid, born and raised in the UK.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about your family, your community life? What was life growing up in the UK?
It's interesting because I come from a very small town and it wasn't so much of a Muslim town. So it was an interesting upbringing. My upbringing was with everyone, basically. And yeah, so I had to find myself, and finding myself more and more was when I actually left my town to go to university. And that's when you discover yourself a lot more as an individual. But the childhood was like most childhoods. It was pleasant, warm family. All the family lived together. Working class family, just doing what we needed to get by. And this was it. University was a complete change where I start seeing colour in people because that's something I wasn't really used to growing up in the town I was in. People from other countries, other accents, had to intuitively listen a lot more because of accents, because of mannerisms, and take things forward. And that is really where I would say, yes, we had Islam growing up, but having Islam is one thing. Understanding what your deen is and understanding real purpose is something else. And at university, when I was made the president of the ISOC, and so we were sitting over a burger, a milkshake, and an apple pie with the old president, basically. And he said, Khalid, I want you to become the new Emir of the ISOC. And my response was like, and I'll say exactly how I said it back then, mate, I don't even know how to pray properly, and you want me to become the president? Why? Organisation. Because you'll have people around you to guide you on deen. But if we don't have structure, if we don't have purpose, if we don't have vision, then we have that problem there. All the other things that you can learn. You can learn to pray, you can learn to read, you can learn all of this stuff in more depth. But we need to have purpose and we need to act fast and move fast. And that will create the difference of a society. And from leaving uni, from going to uni as no beard to coming home with a beard, all I get from mum is like, you went university as a beautiful kid and now look at you, you got that big beard on your face. And now to the extent it goes, now colour your beard because you make me look old. So that's from upbringing to university.
So can you tell me a little bit about your education? What did you study and your early professional experiences?
Well, like everyone, GCSEs in school. I know I probably look older, but it was GCSEs. Then it was A-levels and so forth. University was management and marketing. So that's what I specialised in, even though a lot of people at my time were doing IT courses. But it's nothing that really appealed to me. I did take a year out after college. I took some time out, and that time out was a real passion of mine back then. Was men's fashion, menswear. So I went into menswear, and that allowed me to do a lot of things. I was doing part-time work from the age of 14, but then I went full-time into menswear in multiple places. I don't know if I'm going to say this, all the courses I had to do to actually within the whole beautician stuff. So that's something else that we can talk about another day. Different way.
Okay, yeah. Tell me then, what was the moment then, or the person that inspired your journey into the charitable sector?
It's always been there, and a lot of it comes down to my parents, really. And that sense of giving, the sense of warmth of inviting guests over, understanding the barakah which comes from this. Living in a small town and looking at the situation as growing up from around the world. Families from Pakistan, so looking at the poverty over there, it's like that level of khidmat, that level of service. And then when you start understanding your purpose in life a lot more, by doing that, by default, it's just where it is. So I transitioned from men's fashion in a materialistic and capitalist society, which that was, into dropping everything for service. And even my degree in marketing, in the corporate sense, fine, there's one way of doing marketing, but how to transfer the skill sets from that side in understanding charity. At university, always volunteered for Muslim Aid, and that's the real story here from a volunteer into the current position I'm in. But it's there, but it just needed something to spark that light to get it out, basically.
And what are your earliest memories of volunteering, and what kind of work did you do?
So, volunteering was anything and everything, really. Literally putting letters in envelopes. Back in the day, we had to lick the envelope as well, which was really, really nice. And lick the stamp. Do you remember back in licking the stamp days? Yes, so it was that. But putting on events, doing treks, doing all of these kind of things, fundraising, anything that needed to be done. Because aid is just not about what happens in other countries, and now aid we're distributing in the UK, but it's about your level of service towards it, your khidmat towards it, and working towards that level of insan, and that's really, really important. So the foundational work that we put together as volunteers has cultivated me into where I am right now.
And how did those early experiences shape your understanding of the humanitarian services?
How we do more. And that's the most important thing, because there's a simple Hadith al-Qudsi, from when understanding it, it really changed a lot of things. And the Hadith al-Qudsi is, and I'll paraphrase this, if you help someone in the hour of need, Allah will help you in your hour, and there's no greater hour than the hour that we're all going to face. Now, what is the hour of need of people? The hour of need, it could be the hungry, thirsty, they've lost their house. But also on the other side, again, I'm still a volunteer, so I'm a volunteer undertaker, I'm a volunteer counsellor. So all of these kind of things is helping people in their hour of need. So that Hadith al-Qudsi really, really hit home about leaving a legacy, and that legacy is about khidmat and service.
So what was Muslim Aid like when you joined compared to today? What was like one or two key differences?
Joined as a volunteer?
Yeah.
Okay, that was 2004. It was pretty much the same. In a sense, because the values of the people have been there from the offset. The values of the people is what makes Muslim Aid what Muslim Aid is about. It's about the service and the khidmat to humanity, really. So back in the day, it was a little bit different. We didn't have all your digital social media. We didn't have any of this kind of stuff, really. So it was a lot of paper stuff. The systems have been created now to make things smoother, quicker, more agile. But it's still the fun, vibrant place that we are at to serve humanity in the best way. And that is the heart and core of Muslim Aid.
Okay. So after starting at Muslim Aid as a volunteer, you went on to work in faith-based media and other international NGOs. How did those roles help you develop as a leader when you came back? So
I started my first real job at Muslim Aid in 2006, I think I started there. And I left in 2014.
What was that?
At Muslim Aid?
Yeah.
I was a fundraiser. Okay. So working in the fundraising, communications, customer service part. 2014, 2015, I went into media. So we helped set up the TV channel, which was quite interesting because it's the faith-based angle, but using skill sets in a different way to convey a message. It's more of a dawah base, where Muslim Aid is not dawah at all. And then from there, I went on to work for a medical charity. And that was literally mind-blowing. Been in over 2,000 surgeries around the world, seen situations which happened. And I'll give you a story on this. So in Uganda, we were there, and the lady came in. She came in with a real abdominal pain, and we said, "Fine, look." The doctor said, "We'll have a quick look at you." She had an ectopic pregnancy, and we had to operate there and then. But as we were taking her to theatre, the electricity of the hospital went. They had no backup generator. They had nothing. But if we don't operate there and there, she's dead. So the doctors made the decision, fine, we will do what we need to do. So we're operating on her with surgical towels rather than a suction machine. There's no suction machine. So we're operating with mobile telephone lights because we don't have the lights because there's no battery operated lights in there. And normally with this procedure is to make a quick incision, remove the ovary and the fallopian tube. But these guys went a little bit further. And the reason they went further is it's a young woman. She's 26 years old, and she wanted to have more children afterwards. So we cleaned everything out. And I asked one of the doctors, I said, why did you go further than you would normally do for this case, this sort of case? And these are the surgeons for the royal family in the Middle East as well. And he says, look, it's quite simple here. If I treat the people who can't pay me differently to the people who can pay me, I'm going to be questionable to Allah. And I don't want that. So I will give it everything I can do whenever I can do it for the best of the patient in front of me. And that was a real turning point, because to hear a consultant who's speaking like that, who could actually done the job which makes his life a lot easier, it's heartwarming. And to be in over 2,000 surgeries from all parts and all corners of the earth to change people's lives, that's what really inspired everything there. And coming back to Muslim Aid was in 2023 when I had my interview. And it was like, do you know, in football terms, I don't know if you watch football, but in football terms, they say you've had one good stint at your club, do not go back. And I was like, do I not? And I said, Bismillah, look, I will fill in the application, I'll do what I need to do, and I'll ask Allah, whatever you decree is best. At that time, I was working for the NHS, and I was saying, do I not? And then it was like, I had the interview, said, done that. And Mustafa, the current, the chair, he called me and he said, Khalid, I just need to have a chat with you. I went, okay, Mustafa, but I need to call you back. I was lowering someone into the grave at that time. So I said, I'll call you back, and I called you back. And he says, Khalid would like to offer you the job, this, that, and the other, when can you start? And I said, okay, when would you like me? He said, well, Turkey earthquake has just happened, the Turkey-Syria earthquake in 2023, we need you in now. I went, okay, let me make a few phone calls, let me see what I can get out of and what I can reposition in my current role. And then I think within 2 days, they allowed me to leave because they understood the emergency and the importance. And that's how I started back at Muslim Aid, in the heat of an emergency.
So like you mentioned before, you began as a volunteer and now lead one of the UK's most loved Muslim charities. How does that journey feel for you personally?
I never thought as a volunteer I would be leading this organisation. It's in your wildest dreams. But this is where we have to understand we plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners, firstly. And secondly, we have to understand the level of service that we give. And Allah puts you in positions because of your service, your intention and your khidmat, more than anything else. You could be the most intelligent person in the world and be the most brilliant person there, but if you're not there to serve, and we have to understand prophetic leadership here as well. The Messenger ﷺ and all the other prophets, may Allah be pleased with them, they were here for one purpose, and that is to serve humanity in the best way they can. And that's exactly what we do. And inshallah, in Muslim Aid, that's what we will continue to do. But coming back here is about making that change and creating the level of hope. I had hope of one day doing something greater. And something I did say to Mustafa, I said, me coming back to Muslim Aid will allow me to do one main thing. And he said, what's that? Help more people. Because regardless, I'm still going to help people, but I'm still, now I have the opportunity to help the millions. And just have a look at the level of work that we do around the world as well.
So you mentioned the Turkey earthquake had just happened when
Mm-hmm.
you stepped back in, well, you stepped into the role of CEO. What did that require? How did you I don't know the word now. What did you do to
Resilience.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of resilience needed. We started off an emergency task force. We sent the teams over there to showcase ourselves on the ground. We galvanised everything in the UK, focus solely on Turkey, Syria, because the magnitude of this earthquake was massive. The lives that were lost, the rubbles, the destruction, everything. Isolated villages. What are we going to do? Because for 40 years, we have been an emergency response organisation, so we do have expertise. So it was about challenging them expertise in this particular moment and bringing everyone back together and say, this is what we need to do. Put on your green cloak and become super people to deliver what you need to deliver in the best possible manner.
Okay. And what's been your biggest challenge so far?
Wow. There's multiple challenges. And I think the hardest challenge is not being able to help everyone. And that's what really, really hurts, because yes, there's limited resources. As we know, there's only so much that any one NGO can do, Muslim Aid, whoever it may be. And any CEO has that dilemma to say, what are we going to do? How many people are needed? And we see the situation in Gaza. Yeah, we see the situation in Sudan. We see the flooding that happens in Pakistan. You see the monsoon that's in Bangladesh. And Somalia is catastrophic as well, and other countries around the world. What do we do and how do we do it? And that is really, really difficult, and that's what gives anyone a sleepless night, to say, life and death, yes, I know, as I understand, is in the hands of Allah. But not so much picking and choosing, but putting your resources at the best places. And that's really, really hard sometimes. So for me, that challenge is always going to be there. And anyone who's taking this seat will have that challenge. Any other CEO in the humanitarian sector has that challenge, because resources are not unlimited.
Excuse me. So Muslim Aid was born out of on the mission of emergency international humanitarian as their first mission, and has been the main goal of the organisation. But how are you looking at the growing need at home in the UK?
Look, in my first term at Muslim Aid, the UK has changed a lot. It's changed so much. Never did I think that the expertise that we had of delivering aid internationally will be needed in this country. The rise of food banks, the number of homeless people. And for example, we have to concentrate on here as well now. So like, for example, we're delivering the bare essentials, which shouldn't really be done here. Yeah, there's other forms of humanitarian work that you can do in this country, but food, water, shelter shouldn't really be in what is a developed world, developed country, developed cities. But people on the brink of poverty, people haven't got access to healthcare. Yes, there's NHS, but look at the dentistry. Again, I was just listening to the news in the new dental practices opening in Redbridge. 2 in 5 children have tooth decay and they don't have access to a dentist. We shouldn't be having that kind of situation in the country. Like people saying to us when we're delivering them like a meal, your meal is the only meat I get to eat. You know, that should not be here. No, understanding that we need to take people on a journey of hope and aspiration, take them from being homeless, whatever the circumstance was, how do we get them back into a situation where they feel belonged again? Because that's really important, and that's what we're doing at the moment in the UK. And then we have the rising of knife crime in this country, which is built upon fear. How do we eliminate this? So we have our knife crime initiatives as well. We have our mental health work that we're doing, especially for children in this country, and the rehabilitation projects that we're working with prisoners. And our projects here is not Islamic centric. It's about, regardless of who you are, if you're in need, you're in need. And Muslim Aid is built upon this because in 1985 we set up for a mission in Ethiopia. And regardless of colour, creed, nationality, religion, if you're in need, it's our job in the humanitarian sector to help. It's our job as Muslims to help. And this is why in the event on the 40th event that we're having, we're launching a new campaign, which I can't tell you now, which we'll have to wait until then, which will address a lot of things. And I would just say it's called Project 2040. And that's an aspirational goal based in the UK of what we want to do, how we want to do it, and what we want to achieve. So inshallah, Project 2040 is built by Muslims to serve and support the whole of the UK, inshallah.
I look forward to hearing more about that, because that was my question, is that what is your vision for work, for domestic work, because there seems to be a lot that's needed.
So I answered 3 of your questions in one go.
Kind
Brilliant.
of-ish.
Love it.
So Muslim Aid's been recognised for its strong Ramadan and Qurbani campaigns. What do you think has made them so successful?
Barakah. Yeah, it's really simple. Barakah and the du'as of the people. I'll give you an example, and this is a personal reflection upon myself here. In reality, I shouldn't be here. I was involved in an RTA a few years ago in Medina. And yeah, you can't see the pictures, but just imagine a car hitting the side of the embankment, rolling over and completely being obliterated. So I'm a survivor of a Medina to Makkah car crash, basically. I get pulled out of the car, totally knocked out. I'm on the side of the road. And the doctor comes up to me and says, drink this water. First response to him, I can't, I'm fasting. And he says, just drink the water. So I take the water off him. I look down, I'm covered in blood. I look to the left, I go, what the heck has just happened? I don't know. But that gave me an insight, and which I'm going to lead on to, where my teacher said to me, he said, Khalid, verily you should be dead. Yeah? There's no reason for you to be alive, but the following part. Yes, we know life and death in the hands of Allah. We know this quite clearly. But something we forget is that level of barakah. And that level of barakah acts as the du'as from the beneficiaries that you've helped. And that puts a safety net around you. So this is where service comes into action to safeguard us. So yes, you're not getting paid the salaries. Yes, you're not getting this. Yes, you're not getting that. But you're building something better for yourself. And then his response after that was, so now Allah has given you a second chance. You best go and make good use of it. That's why I believe I'm in this position. It's from service and the du'as of the people. Really that simple. And that is what has made Muslim Aid's Ramadan and Qurbani campaigns absolutely phenomenal, because we're serving with khidmat, we're serving with dignity, and we're serving with excellence. As I said, every prophet came to serve. And that's what Muslim Aid is doing, the following in the prophetic manner, to serve. And that's what the whole of everyone should be doing, inshallah.
As a British Muslim leader, how do you navigate challenges such as Islamophobia and public misconceptions about Muslim charities?
Wow, okay. Islamophobia, or whatever definition the government are going to take now. So that's something else. I've grown up with it, coming from the town I came from. A little Asian boy getting chased down, called all the names under the sun. So I've had it from a young age. How we navigate to it, I'm British as anyone. Regardless of my colour or my skin, I'm British as anyone. Muslim Aid is a British organisation. It's here to serve humanity, regardless of colour, creed, nationality, religion. And I'll give you an example. So someone come up to us once and says, "You Muslims," I went, "Okay, I know where we're going with this. You Muslims oppress women." I went, "Okay, no problem. Yeah. You Muslims do nothing for England." "Okay, no problem. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah. And by the way, disabled people you do nothing for as well." I went, "All right, fine. All right, thank." I didn't answer him. I said, "How can we put action? Action speaks louder than words." So I went back and we were sitting with the team, and we had an opportunity to support the England women disabled football team going to the World Cup. So that's what Muslim Aid did. And this was to support them on their mental health journey. This was to support them on aspiration, on hope. So it's exactly what we did. So you had the St. George's Cross, and then you had Muslim Aid right in the middle. And like I've said to everyone, we can support as much as we want, but we really need to sort out one thing. And that thing for the England football team is how to take a penalty. Yeah, we cannot do that for any purpose whatsoever. So we need to sort that out. And I urge all the headmasters and all the schools to do a penalty shootout campaign every week, so we have the best penalty takers moving forward. But hey, that's another story.
I want to ask you what achievement you're most proud of so far in your journey with Muslim Aid.
Saving lives. That's it. Again, it's not about recognition. It's not about, okay, we raised this much money, we done this, we done that. It's about the Fatimas, the Abdullahs, the Zainabs, the Mohammeds, the Johns, the Stephens, the Jennifers, the Elizabeths of the world that we never get to see, but we make that difference. And I'll give you an example. So in Pakistan 2 years ago, after the flooding, I went there, and there was this is in Sindh. So we had a housing project that we were building. We're giving people houses, and I went to see, and there was a non-Muslim family there, and I saw their home. It's a little straw hut. It was not big enough for me to stand up in. There was 3 kids, the mother. And I said to the guys, "Are they on the list to build a house?" And they said, "No, we haven't done due diligence on them." I went, "Okay, so what needs to be done?" "Oh, these things." I went, "Okay, do it then." "Oh, but," I went, "there has to be an advantage of being a CEO to help someone in front of you right now." And they said, "Okay." And I had the pleasure to go back last year, and they took me to her home. So I saw her home and I saw the difference that we made. But in the whole process, what we did, we reconnected the father to the children, because the father was away as a labourer working somewhere. So the project was as follows. Yes, we'll build your house, but get your dad to come back, get your husband to come back, and let us train him. And by training him, we'll pay him, train him to build his home as well with the other people. Now, by doing this, he gets to spend time with his children. He gets to build his home, his home. It's not ours, it's his home with his own hands. And then his kids, they have a dad again, where the dad is away for so long. And that is the inspirational stories that we have. Back in Tsunami, when we done that as well, similar project of training, understanding, delivering, but putting the justice holder, putting the person who we're delivering for at the heart of everything that we do. And wallah, that is the most important thing. That's the most important. If you deliver with the best thing you can deliver with. You don't deliver just say, Chalo, just be happy with whatever I give you. That's not delivering with dignity. Now, the values that we have is justice and dignity, compassion, service, working towards excellence. Now, we've embodied them. We're working towards them. And inshallah, we will grow this. So for me, the best thing that we do is to serve. And that's what I'm most happy about. Not just at Muslim Aid, but in Korea, full stop.
So can you share more about the value of partnerships?
Partnerships is something really, really important, especially in Islam, because it builds trust, it builds collective togetherness. But also for me, as CEO of Muslim Aid and just in general, unfortunately what I see a lot of transactional relationships. With transactional relationships, it's like you give me this and I give you this and yada, 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 and that's it. With partnership, it's about how do we add and how do we grow. It's purpose built, it's values based. Now, once we're heading to a direction collectively, and in the humanitarian sector on a collective basis, is what is your purpose of this partnership? Our purpose is to change lives, to save lives, to inspire hope, to change the course of direction and actually change a course of correction as well. So once you unite and unify on an approach, that's when a partnership flourishes. But if you're just going to have transactions, it's going to be like, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I need from you, and thank you very much, goodbye. That doesn't build trust.
So would you say this is reflected in your strategic direction as CEO?
Yes, because with partnerships, it shows a level of transparency as well. And this is for both donors, organizations, end users, because that level of transparency has to be there because we are accountable. Like for example, I can be accountable to you, but truly and understandably, we have to understand who we're going to be accountable to. And that's Allah Azza wa Jal. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's watching everything, He's understanding everything, and actions are built upon intention. So if you come into something with the wrong intention, your action could be fantastic, but what is your level of reward? Because when you get back to your Rabb on that day, what's going to happen? He's going to say, well, I gave you everything in this life. I owe you nothing. And that is the biggest failure that we're going to have. What are we banking here and banking there?
Okay.
And that's what partnership is.
Thank you. So what do you see as the key to maintaining trust with donors and supporters then?
As I mentioned, transparency. It's transparency, truthfulness, highlighting when things go right and showcasing when things go wrong. Because as insan, we will make mistakes, and that's what it comes down to. But not shying away from it, because a mistake is a learning curve to correct yourself. And every day, again, for myself, I will reflect upon the day and say, what has happened? What can I do better? And reevaluate it the next day. Now, and again, just a stupid scenario. If I wake up and I stab my toe on the bedside cabinet once, then I do it again, and then I do it again. It's like, Khalid, what the hell, man? Come on. But you know that's there now. So by intellect, you think, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm learning. And that's what it all comes down to. And we learn to be better people. We learn to be more compassionate. We learn to serve better. But it all comes down to understanding your purpose.
So do you think you're inputting that into the type of team environment you're trying to nurture at Muslim Aid?
I hope so. And inshallah, I can see this because previously mentioned what has changed in Muslim Aid from 1985 to now is not so much, well, the staff members have changed. Well, Zaki's been there for a quarter of a century, so mashallah, she's still going strong. But the staff has changed, everyone has turned around. But the core values of service has been embodied in every single induction that we do for every staff member that comes in. So to have that embodied in you from the offset and from the foundation, when Muslim Aid was set up on the back of Ethiopia, from the verse, whoever saves one saves the whole of humankind, to be your manifesto of your strategies, to be your manifesto of change, to be your manifestos of this. And so we are a faith-inspired organization. And that's really, really important to take forward. Regardless of who we help, we don't portray faith, but faith dictates on how we do things. And that's really, really important here.
So how do you ensure that the prophetic example of service remains central to staff motivation?
This is really funny. So I actually done an essay the other day, and back to uni days, basically, all-nighter. Oh, God damn, left it to the last minute. Let me do what I need to do. But kids, never do that. Study, and put your things in time beforehand. But it was about transformational leadership and situational leadership. And my comparison was on both. One is about here and now and operational change, and one is about visionary change. But they both have a massive flaw. And that flaw is the inner ability to understand the bigger picture. And that's where the prophetic message and the prophetic leadership comes in. So we need to embody that. And the prophetic message comes, serve for others, do for others, be there for others, and expect nothing back in return. That's the most important thing, because when your intention is this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you everything that you need. And nothing happens, nothing can get over the line without the will of Allah. And that's really, really important. Yes, we have management systems. Yes, we have all of this, but we have something different. We have that inner faith light that comes into us to say, what is my purpose? And back at uni, we remember back at uni, what was that lecture called? Purpose of life. What is your purpose of life? That is what it's about. Understanding who you are, what you're here to do, why you're here to do it, and go and do it. That's really important.
Thank you. So it's all tied together, but what does good leadership mean to you, especially in an organisation built on compassion and accountability?
Good leadership is about delivering for others. That's really is. It's about empowering, succession building, putting the systems in place, because we are not going to be here forever, and we have to understand this. But our theology and what we teach can be there and can transcend and can grow with the next generation. But if I'm not going to put people in the right positions and develop them, nurture them, and showcase, if I'm a volunteer to a CEO, you can be a volunteer to a CEO as well. But you need to have that level, that intention. You need to have that drive. You need to be there to serve others. That's the most important thing. Don't worry what comes your way. Yes, you're not going to get the biggest house. You're not going to get the car. You're not going to get the this. You're not going to get your 15 watches. But the difference I would say I have compared to nearly every CEO that I know is my volunteering work as being an undertaker. And I've been doing that for 20, 25 years as well. And never have I had anyone come to me with anything in their hand. I've watched thousands of people. Never has anyone come to me with anything in their hand. The only thing I see is a name tag from the hospital, and that gets taken off. And then everyone at the end looks exactly the same, wrapped in that white sheet. The janazah is the same. The burial is relatively the same. So if you understand where you're ending up, why are you chasing so much here? And that is a reflection upon us all the time. Take away the needs and wants to the desire of making a change.
Okay, thank you. Looking back, what achievement are you most proud of so far in your journey with Muslim Aid?
I answered that. Service and saving a life, basically. not knowing who we're helping, not knowing where we're helping, but understanding that we are there making a change. Yes, I got all the details, but it's having that. Let me say it in another way. The du'as of the benefit, the du'as of the right holders, and the du'as of the oppressed is like an arrow going straight into the heavens. That is the achievement that everyone in this sector looks towards, is them arrows flying up. And the reason being, as I said previously, when we're in our grave, them arrows will come down in our graves, inshallah, from the angels and saying, here's a good deed from this person, here's a good deed from that person, here's a good deed from that person. So we're building our bank. That's the most important thing here. We're building our bank. And as a Muslim leader, that's really, really what I want for me, my team, and the sector as a whole. Understand your purpose. Your purpose is to serve. Serve with khidmat, serve with the best intention that you have, and don't worry about what you get in return. That's it.
Okay. What do you hope will be your personal legacy as CEO?
Wow. I had a conversation with Yusuf Islam about this. And I said to him, Yusuf Bhai, your legacy is Muslim Aid. And the founder's legacy is Muslim Aid. You know, the ones who are here, the ones who have passed away, everything this organization has done so far, you get the ajr for. Yeah, and I said, fine. But I said, there was something I introduced that none of you lot did. You get the reward of this, but everything from this part will come to me as well. And that is the Waqf. And that is to build Muslim Aid as a resilient, self-standing organization that transcends times. And we know from the narration of Uthman and the well of what a Waqf can do. And this is where Muslims need to understand the solution to the problems we're facing has been given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's been in the Quran and the Hadith. It's quite clearly there. The Waqf is a solution to a problem in eradicating world poverty. Zakat is a solution to a problem in eradicating world poverty. Now, my legacy, if Allah allows it to happen, and it's down to Him if He accepts it, is this Waqf, is the educational projects that we're introducing of financial resilience and understanding the importance of zakat to our next generation of children, is the development of our livelihood projects. And I'll give you an example on this. So in a recent trip to Sri Lanka, we introduced a livelihood project over there. And you and I and all Muslims will have one desire on earth. And that would be to perform Hajj. If you haven't performed Hajj, that is what our desire is. And one of my teachers always says this. He says, look, Khalid, always have the intention to go. So when the Hajj season comes, have the intention to go. If you go, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but have that intention. Because if you don't have intention, Allah will never ask you anyway. So always have that intention. My first Hajj was a different story. It's an amazing story as well. But that's another day. But in Sri Lanka, so the right holders and the Muslims, their first desire is not about Hajj, unfortunately. Their aspiration is not Hajj. Their aspiration is, am I going to have food on the table for my kid in the morning? Are they going to have an education? If they get sick, are we going to be able to provide healthcare for them? We can't comprehend this, unfortunately, because yes, we have our house, we have our food, we have everything. So our livelihood project over there, what we've done is we created an ecosystem, and we had different pockets of this ecosystem. And I'll give you one pocket. And this is what your zakat done, basically. So we gave one of the right holders some cows. and we said, here you go. And we trained them, we done all of this. And then in the space of 2 years, he became from a recipient of zakat to paying zakat. And that's what we did. In the space of 2 years, he employed another 50 families to work with him. So taking 50 other families out of poverty, approximately. In the space of 2 years, he took his wife to Hajj. That is the change factor that we need to make. And that's the power of zakat, if spent effectively and in the right manner as well. And that's what we done. And that everyone who's a part of the Muslim Aid campaign who gave the zakat, inshallah, will have a part of this reward. And that's what it comes down to, is where do you fit into that chain? And that's really, really important. So that's a legacy I want to leave behind.
That's lovely, thank you. Just going to that Sri Lanka project, I understand that's your community-based model that you're talking about.
That's
Could
correct.
you just elaborate on that for people that don't understand what the community-based model is? Because you've talked about livelihoods, but I understand it actually goes into education and taking them out of food poverty. And
it's taking people, and the easiest way to describe this is taking people from despair to hope, taking them on that journey, giving them the holistic approach, as you've mentioned, education, health, taking them out of food poverty, giving them the dignity of a home, giving them the aspiration of change. Why do we, for example, when you look at your children and they've got a lollipop in their mouth, just imagine the kids over there who's never even had a lollipop, the kids over there who have never even experienced anything like this. These are the things that we need to change. Now, our children in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, Syria, Gaza, and every country around the world, they're our children because we are one ummah. And the hadith is clear. When your brother and sister hurt, you feel the pain as well. And that is what unifying approach is. So our community-based project is based upon that narration, that you feel the pain, you feel the suffering, and you make that level of change. And that's really, really where we want to get to. Because until every home, every child, every family is taken out of poverty, we cannot rest. We really, really cannot rest on this. We need to change the situation of our people, and we need to change the whole of humanity. And that is what our purpose in life is. Will we see the results of it? I don't know. I highly doubt it. But we need to head on that direction of that course of correction, inshallah.
so bearing all of that in mind, how do you see Muslim Aid evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, on the 30th of November this year, now we're a mature organisation because we're 40 years old, and we're going to be no longer, if you use the human context, under the Arsh of Allah. So our projects have to mature. What we have done, taking that particular project that I've mentioned, the community-based project in mind, is a lot of organisations still do a one-to-one sponsorship campaign. We're moving away from that because, and people say, why did you move away from it? I said, there's some amazing organisations still doing one-to-one. So if you want a one-to-one, bismillah, no problem at all. But we have to understand the situation globally and how we develop and enhance our projects. Now, what Muslim Aid are doing, and this is like amazing, and I personally believe this. Yes, I'm CEO, but I believe it from the outside in as well, is supporting the teachers, supporting the schools, supporting the parents, supporting the family to uplift them in a complete holistic manner. So we will pay for the teacher to provide the education. We will pay for the child to get education. So it's a two-tier approach. We will look at the land around the schools to grow crops, so them crops can be sold to enhance the education system of the school. Then crops can be given to the children who do not have any vegetables, this and that, the other to eat. It's taking every little thing into account. And some things, people say, oh, you got into too much detail. But how can you go into too much detail when you're trying to save someone's life? And wallah, this is the most important thing here. So, but now we've done all of this. The growth of this is going to showcase the world of like us as being groundbreaking initiatives of Muslim Aid. Wow. And that is really what I want for us. Now, what I want for Muslim Aid is for people to look in at us and say, your projects are amazing. How do we take it on board? And as a CEO to any NGO watching this or anyone listening to this, just pick up a phone, drop us an email, come knocking on the door. And whatever you need to enhance your projects, my team will be there to support you, because only together can we make that difference and make that change. Now, the other thing that we've done is our housing projects. And I mentioned housing earlier on, but now we develop it, taking the right holder in place, because the initial drawings that we had, we did it as Muslim Aid. And we said to the people, here you go, here's your home. And they're like, thanks. But we're like, but please explain. And they said, we don't want it like this. Can we have this? And can we have this? And can we have this? And can we have this instead? And we're like, okay. And they're like, huh? And we're like, yeah, fine, no problem. But we're confused now. And my response to them is like, why are you confused for? And they said, because we're poor, people just give us and we're expected to take. But you guys are listening to us and you're changing your projects and you're changing the home, taking into account what we want. And I said, but it's your house. It's not my house. I'm just facilitating. That's all I do. I'm a facilitator and you are the just owner of this. So if you don't want it like this, you told me and I'll change it. But that is something similar to what Muslim Aid done in the tsunami as well. So this is how we keep evolving our projects, taking the right holders in place. And the right holders are the people we give the keys to. It's like for example, yourself. You develop a kitchen for your wife. Yeah, she's gone on holiday. You develop the kitchen, taking everything into account. She comes home. She says, "Thanks, but," and you're like, "Oh man," It's like you want a surprise. Yes, surprise. No, I want to build your kitchen. What do you want? How do you want it? This, that, and the other. Taking the people on that journey with you, really, really important.
Thank you. What advice would you give to a young person who wants to follow in your footsteps, starting as a volunteer and one day leading a whole organisation?
Wow. Prepare to give up a lot. Prepare to sacrifice a lot. Understand your life is there to serve. Every single person is a volunteer one way or another. But encapsulate that with the right intentions. Encapsulate that in everything you need to do. And I'll give you an example on this. So when this was when the missus was pregnant and I was working full time. And this is before a Muslim Aid. So I was working in retail then. And I had an opportunity to build the mosque in my town, but I couldn't do both. So I was moving out, I had all the bills, had everything else to pay, and I had a decision to make. Do I go from full-time to part-time? Taking into account all of the other things that go on, expenses, child coming, this, that and the other. And I said, fine, when am I ever going to get an opportunity to build a mosque and redevelop that? I can get another job, not a problem. We struggle for a little bit longer. So I've done all of this. Everyone said, Khalid, you're mad. Mum and Dad said, Khalid, what you doing? As they would do. And I said, fine, Ya Allah, I'm doing this for you. You sort everything out on my side. And at the end of the month, so going from full-time to part-time, end of the month, there was more money in my bank account. And I said to my teacher, I said, how does this work? And he said, Khalid, look, the problem is we chase rizq, but we don't understand the effect of barakah. Now, what you did, you gave your rizq up to serve Allah. And by giving it up in Allah, Allah puts barakah in there. And I said, I don't understand this concept. He said, so your wealth has more blessing. So where it used to take X amount to fill you up, now it takes Y amount. Where your car used to charge, you have to pay X amount to fix your car on a yearly basis. Now you don't have to. Where you used to get so many parking tickets, now I went, Marana, I don't get any parking tickets. I went, yeah, whatever, mate. Where you get this is what happens. No, that is really where we need to go down. I need to understand the meaning of barakah. And that's where service with intention comes in. You serve for the sake of Allah. You ask for nothing back in return. So for the youth of this generation, stop chasing dunya. Stop chasing this life. Stop chasing everything there. You don't need a new telephone every year. You don't need this every time. What you do need, you need to understand your purpose. And your purpose is to serve with gratitude. Your purpose is to serve with justice. Your purpose is to serve with dignity. And your life is towards making yourself excellent. So if you want to be the best of the best, remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. Your Lord is watching, and you have an opportunity to shine. And as a youngster, and this is the most beautiful thing as a youngster, you can go one way or another quite easily. You have youth, you have health, you have so many things. But when you bring it all together and you understand your purpose, then you'll head in one direction. And that direction that you head is to the path of righteousness. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you everything that you need to fulfill your dunya requirements and place you on the highest ranks with the Sahabas in the next life, inshallah. Ameen.
So with that then, I'm going to take you back to your youth then. When you started as a volunteer, could you let us know how old you were? Because you've given advice to the youth, and I'd like to know when you were a volunteer, were you a youth? And what situation was the world in that motivated you to start volunteering for Muslim Aid?
Okay. You're really going me back in time. If I had Back to the Future, if I had the Lotus, the DeLorean, I could actually do that quite easily. But okay. My dad's always been, mashallah, someone who serves, someone who's a member of the community. So I've always been doing it from day dot, be it serving people who come to our home, serving people in the local prayer centre, doing whatever I need to do. So I've always been around that level one way or another. Dad came to this country from Pakistan in severe poverty. So that's been instilled into us from mum and dad from the beginning. We didn't have we had a beautiful childhood. We had togetherness. There's 4 of us in total. Yeah, I got 2 brothers and 1 sister. Mum always says I've got 2 boys and 2 girls. And I say, he said, Khalid, you're my first daughter. Thanks, Mum. But that's what Mum always says to me. So I've always started at a young age, and I've always been there to inspire and to make that level of change, be it in the masjid, cleaning the masjid, doing whatever it is. At college, we were putting on events for local organisations. At school, we used to do things for comic relief at school. Just whatever we could do, it was there because it was that drip feeling. And we know the hadith, like when you have a stone, if you just wash it once, it cleans it, but then the moss comes back. Yeah, it cleans it, then the moss comes back, basically. But then also what we have to understand is that drip effect. And that drip effect allows the stone to have an indentation. And that stone really is your heart. And then as it's dripping, it's indentating into your heart of the progressive and the way forward. So ever since a young age, that built up into when I was at university, volunteering for multiple organizations. But I had a warm desire towards Muslim Aid, especially at uni. And then from there, it's just grown and grown and grown. But then on the back of that, it's not just this form of charity, it's every form of service that a community needs. That sometimes it's just someone to talk to, just giving your time. As I've mentioned, the stuff I do as being an undertaker, that's the level of service it is. And all of this is all completely voluntary. So even as CEO of Muslim Aid, I have not forgotten my roots of volunteering. Now, some of the people always say, what can you get from volunteering? You can get a hell of a lot. I mean, so much. You get that tranquility of the heart that nothing can bring the tranquility of the heart. You get that desire, you get that nurturing, you get that change, and you get that funny feeling in your fingers and the toes that you've made that difference. That's what volunteering is. So from day dot, you could really say I've been it. I'm not just saying it, I've lived it. You know, as I've said, licked the hundreds of damn stamps because we didn't have the sticky stamps. Then we had to lick the stamps and put it on envelopes. Lick the envelopes, write the letters. You know, it doesn't matter what you do, just be a part of something, and that's the most important thing. If you're not doing anything, don't waste your time on the box in your house. That's your TV screen, basically. It's a bit ironic that you're watching me on TV. I'm saying don't waste your time on TV, but hey, but that's what I'm saying, is have a purpose to what you want to do and where you want to get to, and your purpose is, and it might sound like a broken record, but it's really, really important. Your purpose is to serve. That is what your purpose is. The prophets came for one message, apart from worshipping your Lord, and that was to serve. And that's really what it's about for us. And that's what volunteering is. Serve with gratitude.
So you've talked about service a lot, and I understand that's one of Muslim Aid's values. So maybe that's what drew you to Muslim Aid.
Yeah.
It's one of their values, core values. But as part of this 40th anniversary, I understand that you've launched a campaign that's all around the world you want to see. Why did you come up with that campaign? What was the reason for that campaign? And what is the world you want to see?
I want to see a world based upon hope. I want to see a world where no child goes hungry. I want to see a world where education is freely available. I want to see a world where dignity is there for everyone to see. And the problem is we have an unjust system. The system we have is not fair. Be it you're in the UK or be it wherever you are in the world, it's an unfair system. And we just need to be there to make that change. Will we see a world that we need to, a better world? I don't know. But if we don't act towards it, then really what have we done? Where is our purpose in making that change? And that is the saddest fact that I have, is I don't know how many years I have left. I don't know where we're going to be. But if we don't start changing that course of correction, if we don't start changing people's lives, then seriously, is our life even worth anything? That is the reason I launched with yourself and the team a world I want to see. I want to see a world of justice, of hope, aspiration. I want to see a world where people can play in the streets and not worry about where my next meal is going to come from. I want to see a world with laughter and hope and aspiration. I want people to be happy. There's too much hardship in this world. We see Gaza, we see Sudan, we see Yemen, Syria. We see the hardship the people are going through. We see the oppression people are going through. That is not what humanity is. That's not who we are.
So this is my last question. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Last question. With the world you want to see, how do your donors and supporters get involved with Muslim Aid in this campaign? Because it's not just a one-off fundraising campaign. This is a message for you as Muslim Aid going forward.
Just come and join us in any which way. And it's a partnership. On the day, we have the event that's coming up, and that's going to be talking about 40 years of service, 40 years of making change, 40 years of this. But when Muslim Aid set up in 1985, you had 23 people who could have stood by, but they stood up. And that is exactly what we need. We need people to stand up. We need people to come together. Money is one thing, yeah. Money, resources is one thing. But it's also what skill set you're going to bring, what du'as are you going to give. And sometimes we forget the power of supplication, the power of dua. We forget this because we're caught up in, okay, my money is going to make this much difference. Money's not going to make no difference without a blessing that's been put upon there. So to everyone that is watching this, if you have a desire, as of what I've said, for a world of hope, a world of laughter, a world of happiness, a world where no child goes hungry, a world with education, a world with better health systems, a world that we aspire to be with, then come and join me on this journey at Muslim Aid. Seriously, just come and join me in any which way you can support, in any which way. You have our details, just go to the website, drop us a message, and come and join us on this journey. Because only together can we make that difference. Only together can we save lives. Only together, inshallah, we'll go into Jannah by creating a better place that we're living in right now. So that's it really. I want to make a change. And I just want people to come with me to make that change with me, to help. Nothing else. What do we need in return? Nothing. We just want to help. That's it.
Thank you.